Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how top experts sell their ideas, their value, and their services. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. He's here.
I'm here.
Right. I've got the Swiss Army knife of sales, marketing, web development, project management, digital sales strategy, custom software, and CRM, Mr. Ryan Arcoraci. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much, David. It's great to be here.
So you literally are, let's start there actually. You literally are a Swiss Army knife of all of these skills, all of these talents, all of these roles. I'm curious, tell us a little bit of the backstory of what brought you to the work that you're doing today and what were some interesting stops along the way.
Sure. So about 10 years ago, I started to work with a lot of small businesses, restaurant owners selling digital advertising. So I was selling, SEO, SEM, ads, social media, all that fun stuff that everybody knows is important. And later on, as time passed, I fell into a role of also starting to sell CRM and sales automation technology, which has been a fairly new concept in the last several years. People are really just starting now to look at automation, how to automate a lot of their sales and marketing. So I fell into that role and also doing web development, things like that. So I became an overall coach to help businesses understand how to use technology to be successful, really, when it comes to their website, CRM systems, and all the technology they use. So that really is how I kind of fell into where I am now. And now I kind of call myself an idea guy, because when I talk to a business owner, I immediately just start thinking of ideas like, you should do this, you should do that. Here's how you should think about this. And here's how you should reach these people and your lead pool and all that stuff. Over the last 10 years, that's pretty much kind of where my role has been.
That's amazing. So you are what they call that purple unicorn that actually has the technology skills and technology savvy with the business acumen of what's really going on, what's the company's strategy, what's the marketing need to look like, what does the sales process need to look like, and how to use technology at every stage and phase of that to make things go better, bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I also had the privilege of being on your show not too long ago. So there's also Adventures in Podcasting. Tell us about Business Stories and how that podcast came to be and what that's all about.
So I started to work with a CRM company called Client Tether. It's an excellent company. And I said, I need to develop content and learn, not only just develop content, but learn from people, learn from business owners from all different walks of life. Learn from them, their stories, their challenges. And every story I hear is a lesson. You learn something about how to survive in business, how to survive, how to have the right mindset. Some of these people come from really interesting stories. They had no money. They're from another country. They're struggling, and they figure out a way to dig themselves out of that and become an amazing entrepreneur. And hearing those stories is just a great life lesson. And I think everybody's interesting. Everybody's got an amazing story to tell. Everybody has a different, unique life. And it's funny how their life kind of falls into making them an entrepreneur. Life circumstances happen, and then they take those circumstances and they become something bigger than themselves. And it's pretty amazing to learn and talk to these people. Yeah.
And I'm guessing, just based on that comment, that you work with really all kinds of different size businesses, from the small solo entrepreneur, the startup, the bootstrapper, if you will, mid-sized company, maybe large national firm, government agencies. Is there any sort of special niche or niches that you like to work in more so than others?
So I work with a lot of franchises and franchisees, and it's interesting. There's over like 3,000 franchises out there for people to actually invest in and buy. And there's new ones popping up all the time, and they're super interesting. There's very innovative concepts that people may not even think about that are popping up left and right. So I love to work with emerging franchisors. They're in that growth mode. They're selling their brand. It's an exciting brand. It's interesting. It's innovative. And, people want to look into it, they're drawn to it, and it has potential for growth. So that's kind of my sweet spot. I really love to work with brands that are in that phase.
Hang on. Let's back up the truck. Beep, 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 beep. Listen, I have a brand new sales book out there. You got to get your hands on it. It is awesome. It is amazing. It is fantastic. It is useful, practical, actionable, and a ton of bonuses are waiting for you over at doitselling.com. Grab your copy right now and grab all the bonuses, goodies, companion tools, and downloads that go with the book. You'll love it. I guarantee it. Let's talk about kind of the franchisor challenges when it comes to sales, digital marketing, CRM, because you mentioned client tether, and obviously that is super focused and super specialized purely for the franchise world. And that's really what sets it apart is they're really in a category of one because it's all franchise all the time and built from the ground up to be so.
Right.
Talk to us about franchisors that typically come across your radar. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? What are some mistakes that they're trying to recover from? What are some complaints that they have about how they're hurting the cats before they work with you?
So there's two different levels. There's the emerging franchisor, which is like the new kid in school. They're walking into a room and they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little scared, right? So like we all were when we were kids, right? At least I was. So they walk into the franchise world and it's not the small business world. It's a whole different dynamic, right? So not only are you trying to sell your franchise and generate and scale more units, sell more units, you're trying to also structure how you're going to communicate, how you're going to establish a marketing strategy for every franchisee, how you're going to manage that from the top down, and also how you're going to hold everybody accountable to the franchise's success. So you need a communication tool. You need a tool to manage analytics on lead flow, sales numbers, quotes. There's so many things to think about when you're an emerging franchise. And it's, that first year to 3 years of being an emerging franchise, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of thought. But then you have the established franchisors who, they've got hundreds of locations, and their challenge might be, we've got a system, we're growing so much, and we need to get this system to work. We're trying to customize it. It's costing a lot of money. We have a system that doesn't necessarily fit right now, our model or our growth, or our franchisees aren't really sold on you, but they're not really using it effectively. So you have those two levels where you've got the nascent franchise where it's just an emerging brand, and then you've got the bigger ones that they have their own set of challenges because they're established, but that comes with its own unique issues too. So there's a lot to talk about there when it comes to
Yes, for sure. And am I right that client tether will help a franchisor develop franchisees so it becomes their CRM? And then level 2 is it's also the CRM that they give to their franchisees so that they can get more customers and clients?
100% right. Yeah. I wouldn't say give because they do have to pay for it. But
sure.
Yes, you're 100% right. They need the system to sell the franchise, sell the brand, especially if they're an emerging brand.
Right.
Which is a whole task in itself.
Yeah.
And then they need something that the franchisees can use to ultimately be successful on their end. And we're not built for every franchise. We are really focused on home service brands, which are, ever since COVID, have been really rapidly growing. Home services is a great industry to get into in the franchise world right now.
Yeah, very exciting. Well, tell us a little bit about, are there some war stories, success stories, case studies where, and again, you don't need to use names unless you want to use names, franchises that have just really taken off because they now have a system, they have a dashboard, they have clarity, they have visibility to results, they know what needles to move. What stories can you share that might have people go, wow, that's crazy, that's incredible?
I have a client that does bubble tea, and I don't know if you've ever had bubble tea, or I happen to love it. You can ask my wife; she tells me I have it way too much. Nice. I should probably slow down. But I have a client that has a bubble tea. They're called Gong Cha. They're a bubble tea franchise, and they literally have, I think they hit over 2,000 locations all over the world, and they use client tether to help sell their brand. And what's interesting about them is that they actually have respective regional location franchisees that sell in their respective regions. So they use Client Tether to not only sell at the corporate enterprise level, but they also have Client Tether assigned to their franchisees who have their own accounts to sell in their respective regions. So I think the way they've structured it is really fostering that exponential growth over time. We're talking, and they're constantly adding more locations. Bubble tea has been just been an exceptionally successful industry to get into for franchising. You've probably seen it if you live in any major city in the country. They're popping up all over the place. So that is one particular story that's been successful with us. I have another client really nice lady who does cleaning. She's with a cleaning franchise. I'm not going to name names, but we started working together and she started to use the system. We had a lot of calls. I gave her a lot of strategies to use it. She joined a business networking group. We had her put her business networking group people in the system. We started to nurture them with emails. She called me yesterday and said, Ryan, this is finally really starting to make a difference. I've got like 6 appointments today using the system. After all the ideas you've given me and all the strategies, it's finally starting to work. She said, I'm so excited about this. This is going fantastic for me. So those are a couple stories.
That's amazing. Well, I think the lesson there also is that there's no magic pill, right? There's no instant magic transformation, especially, and I want to circle back to kind of the general technology landscape here in a minute. But whether it's digital marketing, whether it's CRM, whether it is launching a new brand or a new product or a new service, I think the entrepreneurial timeline is now, and now. We want everything to happen right now.
Right.
And this sense of you got to crawl before you walk, before you run, before you fly, that's lost on a lot of people, right? Yeah. They buy the CRM. They haven't even installed it. They haven't even customized it. It's maybe 2-3 weeks into it. And they're like, where's the results? It's like, you haven't even started. Yeah. You haven't even started yet.
Right.
So I think there needs to be a little bit of an injection of entrepreneurial patience into almost everything. Certainly digital marketing strategies, certainly CRM. That, things, and also there's also a learning curve, isn't there? There's a learning curve and there's an implementation curve that people need to give themselves some grace and they need to give themselves some patience to let some of these strategies start to actually kick in.
Yeah, 100%. And with Client Tether, we have about 4 to 6 week implementation strategy. So we assign our clients to what we call a CSM, a customer success manager. And that person is going to spend about 45 minutes a week for about 3 weeks, training you on the system, helping you develop a strategy. I can help too with some ideas, but we really want to make sure that you have the right tools and configurations. We're connecting your lead sources properly, and you know how to use the system to be successful. Because if you don't have that, it's a waste of time and money, and we don't want that for you. So that's really what we're about. We're about that human connection, that training with a real live human being who can help you.
Totally. Let me shift to, as I promised, a little bit more of a kind of a broad view of the technology landscape that we are in. Yeah. And I think all kinds of business owners, franchisors, everybody is probably a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit scared right now because we're living in an era of artificial intelligence, privacy issues, regulatory issues. God knows what Siri and Google are listening to everything. We're talking about AI developed websites. We're talking about intellectual property with ChatGPT. Who knows what that, if I write something and I type something and then someone spits that out, is that mine? Is that theirs? Is that, are the search engines going to start to recognize AI generated content and start to discount it? So there's a lot of fear and uncertainty and sort of technological encroachment into our lives. How are you advising your clients with the voice of reason and saying, listen, it's not as scary as you think. There's ways to navigate this smartly. There's ways to mitigate risk. There's ways to capitalize on the technology landscape of 2023, 2024. Give us a couple of nuggets just from what you're seeing.
I mean, I think it's important to be aware of what's out there, but not also get consumed by it and let it just drive you crazy. I think, in certain businesses, it depends on the situation. AI and robotics are great. I think in terms of producing content and things, AI can be effective, but you also want to be careful how you use it, where you use it, and what you're using it for. I think you can only control what you can control. You can't control the world. You can't control the technology that's coming out every day, but you can control how you choose to use it and the way you choose to use it. So I've been talking to a lot of businesses about the power of robotics, especially in food service and things. And people, I did a podcast the other day with a robotics company. There's a lot of advantages to using robotics in terms of, it's not taking away jobs. It's actually improving jobs. People enjoy having the help from robots to do some of the harder work that's harder that they don't want to do. Automation can help you, in terms of automating texts and emails and things. But again, I think what I would advise is think about all that's out there, talk to someone like me or some other professional to decide what is really going to be beneficial for me. And if I'm going to use those tools, I want to make sure I'm using them correctly, I'm compliant, and I'm careful about how I use them. Obviously, if you're collecting data from people, you want to have authorization to collect data, things like phone numbers, emails, personal data. So you need to be in compliance, and there's federal government laws, even with capturing cell phone numbers right now. You can't text somebody legally without authorization, without them checking a box saying, I allow texting. And a lot of business owners don't do that. They're just willy-nilly collecting data from their website without having a consent box, checkbox to make sure that they get that consent. And that is a federal law. You can get fined if you don't do that appropriately. So that would be my advice, really. Don't get overwhelmed. Just pick and choose what you think is going to be best for you.
Yeah.
And use it in the right way, I would say. Yeah.
Yes, I know. Terrific episode here, but have you seen our latest web training? Oh my goodness, pop over there right now, or as soon as you're done listening to this episode, it's doitmarketing.com/webinar. See you over there. Back to the good stuff. And Ryan, do you sometimes get questions from business owners, entrepreneurs, franchisors, where they're like, okay, I'm reading a lot about fill in the blank, right? I'm reading a lot about apps. I'm reading a lot about voice assistants. I'm reading a lot about Chat GPT.
Yeah.
How do we use that? How do we leverage that? Is that sometimes they're sort of enamored of the technology and it might be a solution looking for a problem? So do you recommend people look at the technology landscape first, or look at the business landscape that they're operating in and see what their problems are, and then come to someone like you and say, hey, here's our problems, and then you sort of selectively use these technologies based on the problem that we're trying to solve?
Definitely look at yourself first and the business first. Sit down and then find your problems and then dig deeper in the problems. Like, for example, if you're a home service company and you're getting leads from a home service lead provider, but a lot of these people who do home services, they can't respond to people right away. They're up on a roof, they're painting a house. If we've ever done that work, it's not easy to be on a ladder painting a house and then trying to answer your cell phone. It's very dangerous. So we don't recommend doing that, right? So that's a problem with a lot of home service professionals is they get leads coming in, but they can't respond in that 5-10 second period of time, right? So what we do with Client Tether is we have an automated system where it automatically texts that lead when they come in, right into the system. They get the text and email and a phone call if you want. So that's the problem for them, is responding to people right away. I can't respond to people right away. Well, great. Automation could solve that for you. Automating that text will allow that lead to know, they're there. You're going to help them. You're on a job right now. You'll call them in a matter of maybe a couple hours or a day or something, right? But it's important for the customer to understand that they are being heard and somebody actually cares. So that's one example. I would say look at your problems and then dig deeper into the problem and understand why is it a problem. And then look at what technology now could fit that for me. Look at yourself, your mindset, and your business operation, your sales, your marketing, and then define where do these tools fit, if they fit.
Right. Let me ask you final kind of couple of questions here as we're starting to land the plane. there's a lot of talk about digital marketing, social selling, digital sales strategy. Unpack for us kind of what's the difference, for example, between digital marketing, digital sales strategy, and social selling or selling via social media?
Well, the way I would interpret it is digital marketing is literally everything you're doing with your marketing online. So I think it starts with number one, your website, SEO, doing Google ads, social media ads, and then you have your actual sales process. So you generate the lead through digital marketing, and then the lead experience, the communication, the sales process starts when that lead talks to someone like yourself as a business owner. Maybe it's a call center person, or it's an admin or another salesperson. So once the lead is captured, digital marketing is generating the lead, and then the sales part starts when the lead actually is engaged. And that to me is the most pivotal time to convert a sale. I don't care if you generate 100 leads an hour. If you can't handle that volume and you can't give those people the best experience possible, it's a waste of time and money. You're going to lose all that business.
Yes.
So that minute that lead gets captured, that's when the digital sales start, the social selling start. And then what was the third part you were asking me? I'm sorry.
So, social selling, social media, sell by chat, sell by messenger, all of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point where you get a lead coming in through Facebook. Are you responding quickly? Are you answering questions? Do you have maybe an auto response chat where you can chat and pre-fill out some questions for them?
Yeah.
Or send them a calendar link right away. And, in some cases, that's great. Some cases, it may not be good. You want more of a personal approach. It just depends on the business, right?
Yeah.
But that is the point where you've got to, once you capture a lead is so valuable. And you know this, David, that lead is so valuable. They could be your customer for the rest of their lives, and they could refer you tons of business.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that initial contact established correctly and you're not engaging them right away, you could lose that. So I hope that covers it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we could go on for hours and hours. I know that people want to get connected and stay connected to more Ryan Arcoraci. How can they do that? What resources, what links can we share in the show notes?
You can go to clienttether.com. It's 2 words, the word client and then the word tether, all one word. Just go there. You can also go to my LinkedIn, Ryan Arcoraci. It's ARCORACI. You can look up Business Stories with Ryan Arcoraci, which is my podcast. David and I just did one recently. I've got over 80 episodes, so there's a lot of value, a lot of content there you can check out. Or you can email me, ryan@clienttether.com. Anytime you want ideas or tools, I'm more than happy to talk.
The most reachable guy in show business. That's what you are, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing so many great value bombs with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.